All right. Review for our last unit of the first semester. Okay. So, we have 8 boys, 14 girls, 1 teacher, and 4 whiteboards. Please pay attention to the order and look at the numbers. So, girls to boys. Okay. So, if you're writing as a fraction, it'd be girls over boys. So there are 14 girls. Okay, we're just going to do this already. Try this again. 14 girls and 8 boys. Now we always want to reduce this, so that's going to be 7 over 4. Now remember, you can also write this in this format, 7:4. Whiteboards to girls. So whiteboards, girls. So how many whiteboards are there? There are 4. How many girls are there? 14. And again, you're going to want to reduce that to 2 over 7. And if you want to put it in this form, you can. We'll accept either one. Students to teacher. Okay. Well, students, you have to add these two together. So that's 22 students. Sorry, technical issues. So students, there are a total of 22 students and 1 teacher. Write it that way. Either way is fine. Boys to students. So there are 8 boys. And remember, there's 22 total students. So that reduces to 4 over 11. Or you can write it that way. Technically, all of these you could also write the number 7 in the word 2, TO, 4, and 2, TO, 7 instead of the colon. It's up to you. I'll accept any of those. Okay, solve. All we're going to do is cross, multiply, and solve. So that's going to give me 25x equals 136. Divide both sides by 25, and yes, I'm going to get a decimal. That's okay. Decimals do not mean wrong. Now, if you wanted to check it, you could do 25 divided by 8 and get 3.125. And if you do 17 divided by 5.44, you'll get 3.125. So you can confirm your answer if you like. Okay, cross and solve. Now remember, when you do this, it's very important to put the x plus 3 in parentheses. Otherwise, if you write 10x plus 3, that's going to be wrong. Because it's technically 10x plus 30 when you distribute. Now you subtract the 30. Sorry, just 2. And when you divide by 10, you get 2/10 or 1/5, or just 0.2 as a decimal. And again, if you wanted to check that, you could plug it back in and plug in the 0.2 right here. And if you did 3.2 divided by 4, you'd get 0.8. And 8 divided by 10 is 0.8. So you can confirm that. Okay, we're going to multiply. Go for your parentheses. So 2 times 7 minus x equals 11 times 2x plus 4. So 14 minus 2x equals 22x plus 44. I'm going to add 2x and get 24x. I'm going to subtract 44 and get negative 30. And when I divide, I'm going to get x equals negative 5 over 4 or negative 1.25. Either answer is fine. And again, if you plug that number in and divide, you will get the same decimal for each because they are equal. Okay. Again, this helps set up a word fraction. And at first when you read this, it says they prefer Listerine to scope. So you might say, oh, that's going to be Listerine over scope. But then reading further, it says if 1,200 total dentists were surveyed, how many preferred Listerine? Well, now we're looking at the total dentists, and we're talking about Listerine. So we don't really care about scope now. We want to know Listerine compared to the total number. So our magic ratio is 3 out of 5. 3 liked Listerine out of every 5 total dentists. So we know there was 1,200 total in the survey. We're trying to find that. And we're going to cross multiply. 5x equals 3,600. That's 1,200 times 3. Divide by 5 and we get 720. This is not our answer because it's a word problem. So you should say 720 dentists. And yes, if you don't have the word dentist, you will lose half a point. Okay, Pamela drove her car 99 kilometers and used 9 liters. She wants to know how many kilometers she can drive on 12 liters. So, kilometers and liters. Well, our magic ratio is 99 kilometers for 9 liters. If she has 12 liters, how far can she go? How many kilometers? Again, we're going to cross multiply. You might have already seen a shortcut. And if you see those, it's okay. So 9x equals 12 times 99, which is 1,188. And when you divide, you get 132. Again, not the answer. You need to say 132 kilometers. Now, if you notice at the beginning that 9 goes into 99 times 11, you could have just taken 12 times 11 and gotten 132. So if you see a shortcut like that, feel free to take it. Okay, Mika can eat 21 hot dogs in 66 minutes. So that's hot dogs compared to minutes. Again, our magic ratio is 21 hot dogs in 66 minutes. What's our question? How many minutes, that's on the bottom, if she had 35 hot dogs? So 21x equals 66 times 35, which is 2,310. And we divide that, you get 110. So that is 110 hot dogs in just over half an hour. Yuck. Okay, the 2 properties of similar triangles. First off, the angles are the same. So we have congruent angles. And the sides are proportional. These are the 2 requirements. Now, what are the 3 rules we have for this? Angle, angle, similarity, we need to have that symbol. And remember, this is that rule we could not use for congruence. Now, the next 2 are congruent formulas also, but that symbol means similarity. But they work the same way they did for congruent. Okay, so you don't have to, but again, I prefer to do something like this to line them up. And so FD is right here, 8 is still right there. That just allows me to see the matchup a little bit easier. So we know we have angle here, so that's good. Now we have no other angles, so AA won't work here. But we do have proportional sides possibly we need to test for. So we're going to do 15, and you have a choice here. You can do 15 over 12 or 15 over 10. It makes no difference, as long as you do 12 over 8. And we're going to cross multiply and test them. And what we get is 120 equals 120. Check. So that's a good thing. But just to show you again, if you wanted to set up your fraction here, like the little trick I showed you, 15 over 12 equals 10 over 8. Again, we're multiplying the same numbers. 15 times 8 and 10 times 12. So these are proportional, and we have side, angle, side. Similarity. Now, you can pick any way you want to, ABC first or FDE first, and the order doesn't matter. You can call it CBA. But if I'm going from ABC to FDE, what's happening? Okay, what's happening is it's getting smaller, which means when I take my ratio of like 15 and 12 or 10 and 8, 15 and 10 or 12 and 8, okay, I need to put the smaller number on top. So 8 over 12, which reduces to 2 over 3. My scale factor from ABC, the bigger one, to the smaller one is 2/3. Now if I put FDE to ABC, that would be 3/2. Okay, this one's interesting. We have parallel lines. ST is a transversal. So is a U. So what we end up with is, first off, we know we have vertical angles. I'd like to get that out of the way first. This is congruent to this, and this is congruent to that. So right off the bat, we know that these are similar by our AA similarity rule. And then I can say SAM. Now you gotta be careful here. Let's match it up. S has 3 lines, so that's my T. A has 2 lines, that's my U. And M is the same for both, 1 line, 1 arc. So that's the ratio. Now, don't be tempted to say it's a 5-to-1 ratio, because let's look at this. Sam and Tom. The 5 is on SM. The 1 is on UM. Those do not match up. So this is actually not possible. I cannot give you this right now, because the 5 corresponds to this side right here, and the 1 corresponds to that side right there. So if we move the 1 or the 5, we would have a 5-to-1 ratio or a 1-to-5 ratio. But with the numbers in place right now and no other information, we cannot give the scale factor. Okay, so we have parallel lines. We can set up our little trick I showed you in class. Just literally 10 over 5, 11 over 6. And shortcut, if you look at it, 5 is half of 10, but 6 is not half of 11. Okay, so if this was a 12, it would work, but it's not, so it won't. But let's test it. 5 times 11 is 55, and 6 times 10 is 60. That is not there, so that's a no. Now, technically, there's a typo, because we actually don't know these are parallel. That's what we're trying to prove. So these symbols should not be there. Apologize for that. Forgot to take them out. So we're testing to see if they're parallel and if we have similar triangles, and we don't. So right there, since we have no, we just stop. Okay. Now, first off, on this one, it can be kind of tricky. And don't start drawing yet, because this isn't going to work out. But if you just try this, okay, 8 to 25 and 10 to 20. It's a very logical thing to try. Well, what you end up with is 160 equals 250, and that's a no. So right now, they are not similar in that formation. But if we took PET and turned it around, just going to redraw it, and put 10 here and the 8 here, and now we try this, 10 to 25, 8 to 20, let's try it. And sometimes you got to try it. You're not always going to get it the first time. 10 to 25 equals 8 to 20. Well, that gives us 200 equals 200. So that is a yes. And here's why order matters. Because they are proportional. Okay? And how are they proportional? Well, we have two sides. We still need to test this one. So I'm going to come down here and do 8 to 20 and 11 over 27.5, which gives me 220 equals 220. That's a yes. So I know I have side, side, side similarity. Now, it might have been faster if you wanted to just turn this, this, and this into decimals by division and compare the decimals. You also have that option. Now, here's where it becomes important. This is why order matters. The way the triangle was lined up originally does not work. So, if I say Dr. Dre, D-R-E, well, I'm still going to start at T, because those line up. But let's look at this. We said D-E matches up with T-E. So, D-E matches up with T-E. That's got to be D-R-E-T-P-E, which means Dr. Dre just dropped a mixtape. Yeah, he said that. Okay, now, what's happening from Dre to tape? Well, it's getting smaller, isn't it? Which means we need to take one of these fractions, like 10 to 25, and put the smaller number on top, and then reduce. 5 goes into 10 twice, and into 25 5 times. Now, I think on the answer key I put 5 over 2, but then again, I had TPE and DRE reversed, and that's okay. There's not a right answer, it's just based on how you order it. Okay, first 2, 3 are easy, last one's a little tricky. So 5A, and it helps if you draw it and erase. 5A would be the same as 7B. Okay, 5B, 5 over B, would be like 7 over A. Same order. 7 over A would be just like 5 over B. And if you notice, C and B are just kind of the same thing switched. Now here's a tricky one. Okay? 12. Where does that come from? That comes from adding these two. So this is A plus B, basically. Okay? 7 plus 5. That's what I meant to write. Sorry. Jumped ahead of myself. This is 7 plus 5. This is the numerator plus the denominator over the original denominator. So, on the other fraction, what's the original denominator? B. What's the numerator plus the denominator? A plus B. So, a little tricky, but it makes sense if you line it out that way. All right. Last page. Solve for the following. Again, if you use that trick I taught you, you can set up your fractions like this. 10 over 8 equals 6 over x. Or you can set it up 10 over 6 equals 8 over x. And if you notice, it doesn't matter because the 10 is being multiplied by the x and the 6 by the 8. So what we get is 10x equals 48. X is 4.8. Okay, this one is not as hard as it looks because we don't have to make it more challenging, we would have put the variable there and put a number here. So this is a little bit easier because since this is 20 and this is 7, that makes this 13. And now, again, you can just set up your fractions. 13 over 11 equals 7 over x. Cross multiply. 77 equals 13x. And x is equal to 5.9 round. Okay, now we have the challenging one. We know the whole thing is 15. This piece is x. Now remember, here's how you figure this out. Let's say this was 4. That would make this 11. How'd you get 11? 15 minus 4. So we're just going to do 15 minus x. I'll rewrite that. And so you can just set up your fractions right here. X over 15 minus x equals 3 over 7. Cross multiply. 3 times 15 minus x equals 7x. So that's 45 minus 3x equals 7x. Add 3x, we get 45 equals 10x, and x is 4.5. Almost there. Again, since these are parallel, we can just set up our fractions right here. Nice little trick. X plus 6 over 18 equals 2x minus 4 over 15. Again, remember, put these in parentheses to make it easier to remember. 15 times x plus 6 is equal to 18 times 2x minus 4. So that's 15x plus 90 equals 36x minus 72. I end up with 21x equals 162. Divide by 21, and I get 7.71. At 7.7, I'll accept either one. All right. I'm going to go for x first. I'm just going to do my fractions right there. Y is going to be a little more challenging, a little more work. So I'm going to do 9 over 4 equals x over 3. Cross multiply. 27 equals 4x. X is 6.75. Okay, y is a little bit more challenging, but not too bad. So I'm going to redraw my triangles separately. My big triangle, my small triangle. Now if you look at the small triangle here, this is 4, this is 3, and this is my unknown. My big triangle, this is 13. This is 6.75 plus 3, which is 9.75. And this is given to us as 12. So we have choices for our magic ratio. We can use 4 and 13 or 3 and 9.75. I'm assuming most people pick 4 and 13 to avoid the decimals. So I'm going to do 12 over y equals 13 over 4. Again, you could do y over 12 and 4 over 13. It does not matter. Cross multiply, 13y equals 48. And y is going to end up being 3.7. And last, but certainly not least, 6 corresponds to 8. X corresponds to 24. Now, how do you know these are similar triangles? We have vertical angles right there, and we have matching 90-degree angles. So by AA similarity, we know they are similar. So I can say 6 to 8 equals x over 24. 8x equals 144. And when I divide, I get 18 And that is all.